Good thing about that is she can turn you off, right?
You get Francie? I think I just heard Francie come on. Is that you, Francie?
Hello, everyone.
There you go. Chimed in just in time to start. Go ahead and call this regular council meeting to order, 6 p.m., November 12th, 2020. First item of business is roll call vote. We have Councilman Jackson, Councilman Dixon, Nielsen, and Kester in chambers. We have Vice Mayor Payne and Councilman Marsh on the phone, so everybody is in attendance. Item 3, Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation. Councilman Jackson, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have Kip Myers for our invocation.
Our Father God, we thank you tonight that we can be here. We thank you especially that you care for us, Lord, more than we care for ourselves. And Father, we just ask for your grace and mercy to be poured out here. We know how divided our nation is right now, and Father, we ask that you would soften our hearts and draw us together, that your presence in the promises and in the gifts that you've given us of liberty on a foundation of treating one another the way we want to be treated ourselves. Father, we just ask for your wisdom to be instilled in this council, that our city might grow together and grow in your grace. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kip. Moving on to item 4, consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion for consent agenda.
And move that we approve the consent agenda as is.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments or questions on it?
Aye.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? No opposed. Moving on to call to the public for items on the agenda. We have none.
No.
Moving on to new business, resolution 6A, resolution 2017, a resolution regarding a memorandum of understanding with Navajo County Public Health Services District for use of the Holbrook Fire Department. I will read this resolution by heading only if there's no objection to that. Resolution 20-17, a resolution of the mayor and the council of the city of Holbrook, Navajo County, Arizona, regarding a memorandum of understanding with Navajo County Public Health Service District for use of the Holbrook Fire Department. Okay. We'll do is we'll entertain a motion for the approval of this. We get a motion from anybody?
I move that we approve the resolution 20-17.
Second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. This will call for a roll call vote, and then we'll open it up for discussion.
Okay. Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson,
Aye.
Councilmember Kester,
Aye.
Councilmember Marsh,
Aye.
Councilmember Nielsen,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Payne,
Aye.
Mayor Young.
Aye. Motion passes. We'll now open this up for discussion. We have with us this evening Kim O'Farrell from Navajo County Health Department and Chief Alex Baker from the Holbrook Fire Department. If you folks would like to get up here and kind of explain to us what's going on and give the council the opportunity to ask you a few questions if they have any.
Yeah, I don't know how much information you guys have on this, but basically it's Navajo County Health Department. We're partnering with them to enable them to use our facility as a point of distribution for vaccinations or other, whatever else they deem necessary, you know, throughout the year or whenever. This kind of brings us more in line with the rest of the communities around Navajo County. You know, Winslow, Heber, Overguard, Show Low, Pine Top, Lakeside. I'm not sure if Snowflake does it or not, but Joseph City does. So this just kind of brings us in line with the rest of the county and just offers another service to our citizens here in the city as we need them. So if you have any more questions.
Go ahead, Councilman Dixon.
Who are you with, ma'am?
I'm with Navajo County Public Health.
Could you step up to the microphone
Sure.
and state your name, please?
I'm Kim O'Farrell.
Kim O'Farrell. Okay, so I've read through this MOU, and I have several questions about some of the things in this MOU. The first whereas, it says, district will receive emergency prophylactic medications through the CDC SNS program following a widespread bio event, and district will be responsible for delivering the same to potentially exposed populations through the city. And also goes on to mention the relationship with you all and the National Center for Disease Control, the CDC. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And it talks about vaccines. In the third whereas, it says district and the city intend to cooperate and collaborate to serve the community in such an event. And this, between you and City Manager Soltis, I'm had the question of, does that mean that we must support whatever the CDC and or Navajo County Health is doing?
That's correct.
Okay. And also in the now therefore, it says to reciprocate assistance. And so that goes along with the intent to cooperate and collaborate, is that correct?
That's correct.
So, and then under definitions, number 2, it talks about medications prophylaxis, which is preventative, correct?
That's correct.
Or vaccinations to protect the population from biological threats or epidemics. Would you throw in the word pandemic in there too?
I would.
Okay, so these, and then number 3 under that, definitions, again, it talks about the facility, the building designated by the department to serve as a pod, which is point of distribution, correct? But only for the purpose of providing a location for the provision of medication or vaccinations. When it says, and then on to number 4, scope, where it talks about, it says, for planning purposes, it is assumed the city population requiring institutional delivery of emergency prophylactic medications is defined as the full population of the city, consisting of approximately 5,000 individuals. Well, let me be blunt. Is this a prelude to either mandatory or forced vaccinations?
No, it is not. It is, what it is it allows us to open a drive-through point of dispensing for any of the, it's called an open pod, which the fire department would be. And the general public is allowed to drive through to receive any type of medication, whether it be an antibiotic, due to an anthrax poisoning, or a vaccination if they so choose. We do a lot of the flu shot vaccinations with our other point of dispensing sites, and the population just drives through and receives their medication in that way. That's a way that we exercise, and we do that annually, but in no way is it a form of forced vaccination.
Okay, so the in partnership, if you will, with the CDC, is this correct? Are you guys in partnership with the CDC?
We are in partnership with our state, the Arizona Department of Health services, and they are in partnership with the CDC. So yes,
Okay. I guess my concern is the role of the CDC. I know they do a lot of good things.
so they provide our guidance. So as, for example, COVID, as that vaccination is coming out, they are providing our guidance for who may receive that, at what time, what that vaccination may look like as far as side effects, those kinds of things. So they are our guidance providers only.
Have they given you guidance thus far?
They have, but
And specifically concerning the COVID-19 vaccination?
it's very minimal at this point because we don't know what vaccine is due to come out.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because I don't particularly trust our federal government.
Okay.
Okay. If Dr. Deborah Birx says I can't trust a thing that the CDC says, I'm skeptical of them also. But you're telling me that none of this is a prelude or in any way
In no way.
for mandatory or forced vaccinations.
No. The only thing that we would do is if we had, like I said, an anthrax poisoning in our community, we would receive that medication through our strategic national stockpile. It would come to us through our state, through ADHS, and it would be brought down to us. So the CDC is in no way telling us that we have to, but we want to, part of our job is to offer that mass prophylaxis in the event of an emergency.
If there was a state, and I'm doing hypotheticals, if there's a state of emergency declared by either the federal government or the state of Arizona, would that change some of this?
There is no mandatory, no mandatory stipulation that a person has to take the medication.
At this time?
Correct.
If they made it mandatory, would Navajo County and the city of Holbrook have to comply with that?
If they made it mandatory,
Yes.
yes, we would have to.
Okay. And the city would too, correct?
I would say yes.
Because it says intend to cooperate and collaborate to reciprocate assistance on our part.
Correct. I would say yes. I think that all of our partners have the choice to dismiss themselves. If we know, I think there's a stipulation in the MOU that says you have 60 days.
60 days. A lot
Sure.
can happen in 60 days.
Correct.
A lot of forced stuff can happen in 60 days.
You have the option to pull out of that once, if the COVID vaccine came out and it wasn't something that the city agreed with.
I don't see anything in here that up to that, during that 60-day period, that we would have a choice in that. Did I miss something?
No. So what I'm saying is, once that information is released on the COVID vaccine and you don't want to participate in that as a city, you can release us from that.
I understand that, but we have to give 60-day notice. What is our obligation between the time we give the 60-day notice and the end of the 60-day period?
I guess I'm not understanding.
Maybe Ted could answer this a little bit better.
The real key is covered under responsibilities. Whereas that's really meaningless. Working together, what does it mean to work together? What does it mean to collaborate? And that would be under the responsibility. So we can read that. The Holbrook Fire Department, what is it they need to do? Planning. The department will designate a plan to efficiently receive delivery of medication. The department will follow all applicable laws and rules and regulations. Activation. The department will provide the proper receipt and storage, okay, in the event of a lockdown due to the increased threat of off-site emergency response to the department may hinder. That's the key language that you should be concerned with. What exactly is it? And essentially all we're doing is providing the fire department a facility. That's it. That's the extent of our cooperation.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, Ted.
Sure.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman Jackson? Councilman Nielsen? Councilman Kester?
No.
Councilman Marsh?
Yeah, I just want to, sorry, I'm getting some feedback. Let me. I want to thank the county and the fire department for being willing to cooperate with each other. I think this is a good idea. It's a good setup. And I want to be in a position where we're able to help as many people as possible when the time comes.
Very good. Vice Mayor Payne, you have any comments or questions?
No.
Good. I guess there are no other comments, no other questions for you, so appreciate it and thank you guys for your cooperation. Thank Alex and the fire department for your guys' cooperation. So appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we will move on to new business. Item B, approval of purchase of new heat pump for the wastewater plant. Mr. Kelly, would you like to give us a rundown on that, please?
Yeah, straight to the point on this. The wastewater treatment plant, the administration building, the heat pump has stopped working, and it is old enough that it's beyond repair. And so I went out to get quotes, sought out 4 quotes. One company would not return calls after several attempts, leaving voicemails, and so I moved on to another company. They were honest with me. They said that they have never been able to install a unit to that size, and they opted out giving me a quote. So I did get 2 positive quotes, one from AZ Electric at $13,574, and one from Rim Country Mechanical for $12,985. So we're asking the council to approve the purchase of a Linux system to be installed by Rim Country Mechanical at the cost of $12,985.
Okay. Sure will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we'll obtain this heat pump KHA 07254BN 6-ton heat pump Rim Country Mechanical for the price of $12,985.
Second.
A motion and a second. Do we have any comments or questions on this? Hearing none, all in favor? Oh, wait, he's going.
So you're saying that this is an old pump?
It's over 20 years old, yes.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, it's
So
original. It's an original piece of equipment.
okay. So I won't even ask about maintenance on that one. The the one that we're going to purchase, what kind of warranty?
I believe it's a 1-year warranty.
Okay. And are we, this electrical service that we have to this pump, we've had problems with other places in the city with not well regulated voltage.
Correct.
Has that been addressed, and will this be affected by?
No, the wiring is correct for that particular, because we're replacing with the exact tonnage.
Okay,
We're not upgrading the tonnage or anything.
okay, that's it. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
I keep forgetting, they're
Third time on
2
that.
seconds behind when they hear any opposals, so motion passes.
You wanna clarify that with her? Just cause it came across.
Say,
recording.
all voted in favor, no opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Moving on to item C, petroglyph site and bird viewing area update. We're graced with the presence of Mr. Odell. If you'd like to come up and give us your rundown on what you got, Mike, we'd appreciate it.
I look forward to it. This has been a long time coming, you guys. Mayor Young, Council, I'd like to thank Ted for giving me this opportunity to talk to you guys. It's been, I've been involved with this site since like the 80s. This is the first time I get to talk to the council, so I'm really, really happy to do this. You know, in fact, it's been such a big part of my life for so long, I kind of feel like the land's part of me and I've become part of the land. Been out there so long. But today I was kind of looking through, you know, I just have tons of paperwork I've gathered over the years and was going through it today. And there was a period when we went through the grant application that there was just so much work, and I kind of wish Randy was here. And I think you were around then too, Merle. Just a lot of work went in to getting that grant through the National Park Service. And I think a lot of you guys may not have, you know, been here then and realized how much work went into getting that grant. But Petrified Forest has really helped us a lot as far as getting it. Their archaeologists did the archaeological survey we had to do to get it. It was just a great partnership started between us and the Petrified Forest and still continues today with Adam and there's a Haley Larson that helps me identify plants from out of the Petrified Forest. But I just wanted to kind of bring up some of that history that happened through the grant applications. Darlene Brinkerhoff helped a lot as far as recording, the official recordings of the petroglyphs. We had to jump through a lot of hoops. I think it took almost 3 years to go through the whole process before we actually obtained the grant. And then we also, at the same time, got the Heritage Grant through the Fish and Game for the field guides that we got. Show the game you'll see out at the Petroglyph Park, along with about 6 backpacks with binoculars that came with, that they got for us too. So it was just really a big time for the Petroglyph Park during that time frame. And I got, if any of you guys want some of these, I got some of these. I left them at your door the other day, Earl.
And
You probably figured it was, and I think Adam has one, but if anybody else wants one, I brought it up here to get you one if you want. But I'm hoping this will be something out of the ordinary and a little bit fun for you guys. I got a lot of great pictures to show you, and they say pictures worth 1,000 words, so let me go ahead and start showing you some of what we got here. Let's see, I'll just do the, okay. For any of you that haven't been out to the site yet, and I wish Francie was here right now. Adam's been out at one point, but the left bottom picture is the actual main mesa of the petroglyph site. That's where the majority of the petroglyphs are at. I took a picture of the book Topogamy because it's just really educational book that's really helped me understand, learn about the Hopi descendants, rock art terminology. Between the book and what I've learned from experts that come out to the site, it's just been just a wealth of knowledge that I've been able to obtain over the past 30 years. What's interesting about those petroglyphs, they're at a lower panel that's fortunately most everybody can get to. Some people are a little bit, can't make it all the way up to the top of the mesas. So it's pretty cool that one of the best panels is actually at the bottom that most people can get to. When we think of Holbrook's history, we tend to start with Horsehead Crossing in the 1870s. The first settlement was Horsehead Crossing at Juan Padilla. It's kind of hard to see that time frame up there, but the Archaic period started 6,000 years BC, which is obviously way, they were here way before any of our descendants ever got here. But we're out here at the park, we're lucky because we have some of the rock art from that time period, all the way up through the Pueblo II, Pueblo III period. They think these people left the area in 1400s, so even the newest petroglyphs would be in the mid-1400s. These are some pretty good pictures of some of the rock art out there. The one in the middle is, from what I've been told by a lady named Nina Bowen, she's with the Utah Rock Art Association, is probably of like a rain god to them, more of a deity. At first I didn't know what that was. It looked like a Spanish mission to me, but it ended up being a cloud. She told me, Mike, that's a cloud. Like I was being stupid when I told her I didn't know what it was. A lot of people think that looks like a corn stalk, but that's probably a ladder, a one-pole ladder. It's probably a mythical ladder that goes up into the clouds. Rock art repatinates and turns darker. The older they are, the darker they are. And we have some out there that have turned so dark, they're almost the same color as the surrounding varnish on the rock, and that can take just thousands of years for that process to happen. Cliff the Glyphs kind of become a star in his own right. He's right there to the right. He's the one that everybody seems to remember. We use him a lot on, well, you can't really see him. He's over here on the advertisement to the left. The city's used him for a lot of advertisements, and he seems to be the one that everybody really remembers. People that come back for a second time will tell me, hey, Mike, we're coming back to see how you and Cliff are doing. But he's fairly big for a human figure too, because he's probably 2.5, almost 3 foot tall. But everybody really likes him, and he's kind of become our mascot over the years. That's one of the better panels up there too, for the amount of petroglyphs that are on it.
What is that in front of his face? A little, see all the little dots, is that his breath?
By Cliff?
Yeah, right in front of
It's
Cliff's
like he's
head.
blowing something out of his
Yeah.
mouth.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I think those are probably indicating stars, that maybe whatever he saw, we figured some kind of sky event. That's why I call him Skywatcher Cliff too. But you're talking about the dots coming up from him?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm thinking those are indicating stars, and that it was some kind of nighttime event.
or maybe he's blowing bubbles.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. I don't think at that point yet.
COVID-19.
Yeah.
What's really odd is the little square, the little cube
Yeah.
that's at his foot.
His chair.
Yeah, yeah. You won't believe how many people said that's his lunchbox that had been out there. 90% of the time they said. But what's interesting is the only perfectly square petroglyph that's out there. So it's kind of interesting. And it must be pretty significant for him to have taken the time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of up in the air. There's a lot of interpretations of what he saw, and there was something in a supernova in the Crab Nebula about 1011 AD that theoretically they would have been here during that time period. So we have everything from that interpretation to spaceships. A lot of people say, well, Mike, that's when they saw the UFOs, you know. But he's quite the talking point for the people that come out, and he's one of the photo ops too out there. Everybody seems to want to have their pictures taken with Cliff the Glyph. The rock formations are just amazing out there, and you know, I was born and raised here, and should be used to this kind of stuff, but every time I go out there, I'm just kind of blown away at just the amazing rock formations that are out there. And a lot of the visitors that have been out there will tell me, hey, you know, even if there weren't any petroglyphs, I would love it out here just because of the rock formations and not to mention petrified wood and all the different type of rocks they can see while they're out there. But those are just some of the better pictures I had of some of the rock formations.
Did you take all the pictures?
Yeah, these are all my own,
Good job.
all my own photos. Another thing that's just as significant as the petroglyphs themselves is the amount of rock material up on top. Is like river rock that they had. They were able to use it for making their tools. The trail up on top is Hammerstone Trail that Kathleen asked me to come up with a name, so I came up with Hammerstone Trail, because that's actually a tool that you find up there. But there's just so much river rock up there, and evidence of their tool making, like the one in the middle. You almost can't find a rock up there that hasn't been chipped or worked by them when you go up on top. So it's just totally amazing. And of course, they were working the stone just as long as they were doing the petroglyphs. They're pretty sure, well, from what I've heard, they found Clovis points out by the petrified forest, so the paleo big game hunters were here even before the Archaic period, and that goes back 10 to 12,000 BC. So they theoretically could even been up here working stone too, all them years back then. That's the view of the lake that you can see from the trail up there. It's pretty neat for bird watchers, because sometimes they can scope out what birds are doing on the lake before they even go down there.
Hey Mike, can you go back and talk a little bit about that center rock there, because that's pretty significant and interesting.
Yeah.
Could you explain it to me?
It is significant, and sometimes there's so much to talk about, guys, that I really don't know where to start, what to leave out, and what not to talk about, because I mean, there's just tons of terminology, rock art terminology. Bill Ricey was the archaeologist for the Petrified Forest that did our survey back then. He taught me that there's something called a cone of compression and a bulb of percussion. That cone shape there is what archaeologists look for when they're trying to decide if humans have broke the rock, opposed to, say, construction or something like that. It reminds me a lot of when a BB hits a window and it breaks out a piece of glass, leaves like that little depression in the window. But that stuff is just all over the top out there, and like you say, it's pretty significant as far as archaeologists would be concerned. Visitors are always interested in that too, and rock hounding out there and just looking at rocks is another attraction too that the visitors just love. And I kind of like it to be the opposite of the petrified forest, to where if they pick up a rock, they're not going to feel like alarms are going off. If they find a piece of petrified wood, they're not going to be in trouble. They can find petrified wood up there, so it's really been something visitors really enjoy. Those are more examples of the tools and rock that's kind of left over. Chert, they call it, that's left over from them working the stone. That's a view of the lake from up top. From the north side of the Hammerstone Trail, there's a view of the Navajo mesas. You can see the reservation from on top of the mesa up there. There's 5 of those stone steps that were put in through our grant, paid for through the grant we got. They were done by a group called the ACE, the American Conservation Experience. They do trails all over America. Pretty neat trail too, and it's done at a slope that is supposed to be done at. The trails going up to the petroglyphs are pretty much trails I put in myself over the years, and they're a little bit steeper and probably not done quite as professional as this trail was done. But a lot of the visitors actually like the fact that our site hasn't been overdeveloped. That's one of the things that seems to be kind of attractive to them, is that it's been kind of left in its prehistoric state. So, and it costs less money in the long run to kind of leave it that way. Can Adam see this? Or
it is on the camera.
I was
How well you can see it,
I
I'm
was
not
hoping
sure.
Adam, you were here, because this is fossils have actually become another attraction out there, and thanks a lot to Adam. He brought out a group of his associates out there to do a fossil hunt last summer, and it turns out that I was walking over fossils my whole life and didn't even realize it, because I'm always looking for like giant brontosaurus bones or giant fossils, and many of them are actually very small. Yeah, Actually, a lot of them are pretty small, so I was just walking over them, didn't even realize it. But this is Adam, working with some of his crew out there. This could actually become an annual event too, that probably would draw some people too. That's some fossilized rock there, and that rock in the middle looks almost like mud, but it's actually fossilized rock.
Can you go back? What's that one on the left?
It's just like fossilized ripple, like you would see in mud.
Huh.
It's a really neat example though, because they have some of that out the petrified forest, and ours is a much nicer green color than the one they have.
Is there a significance with the color, Mike?
It is, because that
Iron, maybe, or
the
copper?
layers that the fossils tend to be in seem to be in that greener rock.
So is it copper, Mike?
I
Is it
imagine.
cupric oxide, that color?
I imagine there's a high, concentrations of that in it, but I don't know for sure if that's the only reason why it's green.
It's reduced iron.
See, okay, now, Adam, you jump in here and, yeah, what did you say?
You're doing great.
What did you say it was?
Reduced iron.
I said it's reduced iron, but you're doing great.
Oh, okay. Well, reduced iron, okay. Between the plants and the animals and the petroglyphs, it's a little bit hard to keep all of it just in your mind, but I'll try to keep that in mind. But that was just great. Another thing interesting I learned from the petrified forest is that this rock around Holbrook is called Moenkopi sandstone. And from what, I'm not sure if it was Adam told me this, or maybe Adam, you can confirm this, that it's an older time layer than what's at the petrified forest. We always think of that as being really old and dinosaur bones, and our layer, this layer of Moenkopi actually predates dinosaurs, and you would, from what I understand, it would be sea creatures. It was back when everything was underwater. If you found a fossil, you'd be lucky to find maybe an amphibian type fossil, something like that. On top, where all the rock is the Chinle formations, where you would find petrified wood, maybe even some dinosaur fossils if we're lucky. I'm still hoping I'm going to find something really significant. Maybe Adam will one of these next times they come out there. This is another way that the petrified forest has helped us. The YCC group came out to help us with the trail out there, work on the trail a little bit last summer. See, they're the Youth Conservation Corps, and it was just amazing to have them kids come out and help me. I've been working with the parks. I've been working in the cemetery. The parks are short of man, so I've been having a little bit of troubles getting out there and working on the trails as much as I'd like to. So Ted and Adam and everybody arranged to help bring them in for a day or two to help me work on the trails out there. That's two of their crew chiefs doing their glyph impersonations. Doing their best cliff impersonations there. You can kind of get a good indication of how big he is, comparing him to them right there. He's a pretty big petroglyph for a human figure. They call them zoomorphs if they're animals and anthropomorphs if they're humans, but I really can't get used to saying that. So I just kind of call them human figures when I'm talking to the visitors. I wanted to bring up, while I'm here, because I've always wanted to talk to the council about this, is just how much the SDA Indian School has helped me over the years. I've lost track of how many times they've come out to the petroglyph site and helped me since its conception. Them helping pick up trash along the road happened just last week. They came out, they called me the other day and said, Pedro Ojeda called me and said, is there any projects they could do some community service? I try to pick up trash along the road to the golf course the best I can, but I can't keep up on it all the time, so they came out and helped clean the road going to the golf course. They're just an amazing group, and I really would like to, at some point, see if we could give them a plaque or something and acknowledge them at a council meeting someday. they just come out year after year, and they bring lots of people. They bring busloads of kids when they bring people. But I just kind of want to acknowledge how much they've helped out there. The Zuck Ranch is probably one of the reasons we got bumped up to get the grant. Joe Winfield with the National Park Service, when he came, I wanted to mention to you guys too, and how excited I was. I get a phone call from City Hall, this is in 2010. They said, Mike, there's a guy from the National Park Service here that wants to go see the petroglyphs. I'm like, what? From the National Park Service? They go, yeah, his name's Joe Winfield. And I'll never forget just kind of being like, oh gosh, hope I know what I'm talking about. I hope that, you know, I hope this all works out. And it worked out better than I ever could have hoped, because Joe just loved this place. Obviously, he worked it for years and years here, monthly meetings and public meetings, trail work out in the field that he helped us work out where the trails were going to go and stuff. But this is the middle picture is the example of what's left of the ranch out there. The two photos are really neat. Jolynn Fox found them in the Historical Society at the courthouse. Actual picture of the Zuck family. This is in the probably around the 1880s, late 1880s, of them looking at the main petroglyph panels up there. And an actual picture of the house that was down at the ranch. They were pretty sure that it all burned down. Bill Wrights, he brought a crew in, the archaeologist brought a crew in to try to determine about the ranch, and they came to the conclusion that it all burned down at some point. But the stone ruin there is the only thing made out of rock that's left out there. But visitors really like it because you just never know what you're going to find when you go out there. There's always like old bullet shells and old glass thing. I think I found a old spoon the last time I was out there too. But Winfield was really impressed how close a historic site was to the prehistoric site. And I really think that helped us get the grant in the long run. The Zucks and their workers did some of their own rock art that's up in the rocks too. The one to the left seems to have maybe some of their cattle brands and something they call earmarks. I'm not quite sure what that is, but they told me that might be something called earmarks. Somebody named LDD 1897 did some of his name up in there, and that's been pretty popular too with people that want to go down and see the ranch. There's some visitors that were down touring around the ranch site down there. I had so many pictures, guys, that I had troubles. It took me weeks to try to just pick through them and pick out the ones I thought would be nice for you to look at. But the wildlife viewing thing out there it's just become amazing. Bird watchers, the birding has increased, probably doubled and tripled just this last year. They're starting to see more, and there's something called the eBird app where birders document species when they visit sites. Hidden Cove has been number one in Navajo County on this eBird app for probably the last year, almost 2 years. Back and forth from number 1 to number 2 birding site in all Navajo County. It's really becoming a big thing, and we're getting people coming from all over the place looking for birds out there. The owl was actually over by the golf course, had some babies out there. The whitebirds is something I'd never seen before, and I got that picture just probably 3 weeks ago. I couldn't figure what they were at first. They were pelicans. I've never seen, I maybe seen 1 or 2 my whole life out there. I've never seen 15 or 20 of them like that, out there like that. So that was kind of unusual and really neat to see. And luckily I had my camera there, and I got a few pictures and off they went, headed south right before my eyes, so I'm glad I got a couple of pictures where they took off. Another view of the lake, how it looks from on top up over the Hammerstone Trail is that. That's not one of my pictures. The Bluebird is by Anita Ojeda from Seventh Day. She's a big birder and photographer. She got that really neat picture of a bluebird out there. That coyote got to know me pretty well, and you could tell I don't have a zoom lens, so he was up pretty close to me when I got those pictures. He got used to seeing me and would kind of follow me around a little bit when I was up in the hills. I named her Loie, and I had a feeling it was a female just because of how timid she was. She's a lot oranger than most of the other coyotes I've ever seen too. A lot of people wondered if she'd had some domestic dog mixed into her possibly or something like that. But she was awfully friendly, and last time I seen her, she found her a mate, and it's kind of like she was showing her mate off to me the last time I seen her, and that's the last time I ever seen her, about a year ago. And a blue heron, which we named the lake after. Collar-necked lizards are probably the biggest lizard that's out there, and many visitors don't see them around the state. You know, we get people from all over the country, all over the world, and they're always telling me how lucky we are to live here in Holbrook. Sometimes we don't realize what we got here, but they're always telling me, gosh, Mike, you're so lucky you live here. This is so neat. They love the big sky effect. Just the view from the top of that mesa. They get up, people from the big cities get up there, and you can see the White Mountains sometimes on a clear day 100 miles away. Just the big sky effect and the view from up there is an attraction to people that live in big cities or live in mountainous areas that can't see far away like that. Really neat picture of some flock of geese. We get a flock of geese that seem to come every winter that seem to stay the winter now. Only reason I know is because there's some snow geese that have been coming with them. It's the only reason I can tell it's the same flock. I don't want to hold you guys too long, but I saw that nest, big nest, and I saw something was in that nest. I got closer and closer to it. I thought, is that a bird, or what the heck is that? Got closer, and I said, that ain't no bird, that ain't no feathers. Got up to it, and all I could see was fur. And I kept trying to make noise and trying to talk, out to it and say, what the heck are you? Because this head was down in the nest. And I finally rustled a bag of some sunflower seeds I had. When he heard the bag rustle, he lifted his head up, and that's all I could see. It was a raccoon. That's the first time I seen a raccoon, and it was pretty crazy that he was up in a bird's nest. It was kind of an unusual photo. Bobcats are really starting to repopulate out there. I was lucky enough to get pretty close to one to get that picture right there. The deer are really starting to repopulate, and one thing it's been really gratifying to me to see the wildlife repopulating like this in our park. I've come to realize that it's really the only animal preserve for many miles around us. I think they have pintail up by Sholo, but it's really the only refuge they have or safety they have in a wide area out here. There's hunting up and down all these rivers. There's hunting all the way around our whole park. So I really think it's important to try to keep poaching down out there and let the animals have a little safe place to have in our area. And the bobcats, 15 years ago you wouldn't see a bobcat out there. Now I'm starting to see evidence. Their tracks are everywhere. You just see evidence of them everywhere. So it's really cool to see them repopulating up in the rocks. The vet, this site is just turning out to be just amazing in so many ways. The vegetation, this is the wash to the left. That's the wash that runs right at the bottom of the petroglyph panel, the petroglyph mesa. The vegetation in it, which you can kind of see, is more substantial than anything I've seen around the Holbrook area. I've hiked all around Holbrook and haven't really seen vegetation this substantial the way it is. We're pretty sure that there was an active spring feeding this wash back when they did the petroglyphs. And what's funny is just this spring, it started trying to become active again. It was starting to seep out of the rocks, and it's the first time I've seen it do that. It's kind of up in the mid layer of the mesa up there. But the fall colors this time of year, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the fall colors are just amazing. That orange bush is a three-leaf sumac. That's Dan Carroll. He donated his time. We've been lucky. We've had so many people donate their time to help with this project. Dan Carroll came out and did a survey of all the native plant species out there. Well, he even documented invasive plants too, I believe. But and now I have Holly Larson from the Petrified Forest actually helping me identify plants too. So it's just been so awesome to have all these people helping us. That's probably the prettiest plant out there. You'd think maybe that's something you'd buy at a nursery, but it's called a 4 o'clock. But that's probably one of the prettier wildflowers that actually grow wild out there in the hills. That's a view west from the Hammerstone Mesa, looking out west of just a wide expanse of sagebrush out there. And I've seen deer out there. It's so thick that sometimes you can just barely see their heads sticking up. It's taller and thicker vegetation than you would think, but it's really beautiful sagebrush out there. The golf course. You know, sometimes I call it Hidden Cove Adventures because it's just such a wide, the big picture of the possibilities out there is just, it's just amazing because you tie the golf course into the petroglyphs and the bird watching and everything. And a lot of birders come to the golf course to look for birds too. They get quite a few birds hanging at the golf course too. That's one of the better pictures I got of the golf course. They have a reflection in the water, so I had to bring it to you guys. One of the neat things out there too is that they get waterfalls. When we used to get big monsoon storms, they get some waterfalls coming off of that west side up there. That's just amazing too. There's another. That's a better view of kind of where the waterfalls come down off the hill out there. They had an empty room in the clubhouse. This is probably 5 years ago or so that they had an empty room, and I asked the city if we could maybe do a museum in there to show stones from the ancient Hopis, and then stuff I found over at the Zuck Ranch. Joe Lynn Fox donated the display cases, which was nice of her to do that. And it's just been a great thing too, because if it's snowing or raining and people still wanted to, try to do something while they're in Holbrook, they've been able to meet me inside the clubhouse, get a good idea of what the attraction is all about. We have some posters on the walls that show the site and some maps and stuff. And I think one thing me and Ted was kind of talking about, we've kicked this idea around too, is showing a video, some kind of video in there for people. There's a lot of people that aren't physically able to climb the petroglyph mesas a lot of the time. Not to mention handicapped people that may still want to watch, the experience on a video. Not to mention if it's raining or snowing or it's blowing 70 miles an hour or something, we might be able to come up with some kind of video to show in there, kind of similar to what they do at the Petrified Forest. At some point, I think would be a great thing to do. This is kind of getting into the projects that have already been done. We got the kiosks, the benches, the trash receptacles through the grant that we got through the National Park Service. Finally got some posters in there that Pat Pat Nichols had made up. So early this spring, late winter, early spring, we got the posters in, and pretty neat looking posters. One for the petroglyphs, one for the one in the middle's up at the lake showing birds, talking about birds. The green one's the one for the Zuck Ranch. That orange with the Roadrunner is for the Hammerstone Trail. These are other projects that have been completed since Ted got here. They've been allowing cattle into the fields out there, and then there's been kind of a conflict of interest when it comes to that. Cattle were kind of wanted to congregate around the lake, congregate around the benches, the kiosks. You've probably been on roads before where you've had 10, 20 cows on a road, and they don't really want to move out of your way. So it was kind of theoretically could ruin the experience for birders. So we ended up putting a fence. You know, I guess they talked to Reed Head about if we could go ahead and put a fence around the lake. That right there with the post is a walk-through where they can park and go ahead and just walk through if they don't want to mess with opening the gate. They can still get water to the cattle by releasing it down onto the fields to the irrigation pipes, so that they don't really have to get up to the lake, and it's just made it a better experience for the birders to be able to fence it off like that. That millings up at the top is a turnaround. Ted have them do. We had a few occasions where big rigs came off I-40 down that road, thinking they were, I don't know where they thought they were going, but they end up having a hard time getting turned back around. So they've got a turnaround big enough at the entrance of the golf course for say a big rig to turn around if they are foolish enough to drive all the way down in there. And expect that at the bottom right is the parking lot for the petroglyph site, expanded that, so probably park quite a few buses down in there now, quite a few cars. I try to do these tours one-on-one with each family and not do them combined. It seems to be a better experience. So we don't get a whole lot of big groups of cars anyway, but you never know. Might get some buses come in someday or something like that. Always continuing road work out there. Tim or Mo have to come out every once in a while and blade the roads. One thing they did, although probably never should have been done back when they first built the lakes, was line the east side with tires for erosion. And everybody knows the tires usually, if you even try to bury them, they usually try to float or raise up to the surface, so it wasn't really I don't think it was really that great of an idea. Other visitors have told me they've seen other lakes where they did the same things, but they're tending to float away and get scattered around the lake. So we're finally getting to the point where we're going to start pulling them up. Those up there, somebody just pulled up by hand. There's some that are small enough that you can just carry up by hand. The county will take regular tires for free. I can't remember for sure what the price is for the bigger ones. We figured out maybe using a winch might be the easiest way. Instead of a chain and a backhoe, maybe hook up a winch to the back of a truck. With a couple of guys might could pull a few up with a winch, somebody pull it in, and another guy help guide the tire up as they're pulling it in. So that's going to be a project, ongoing project, hopefully here. They made these brochures when Kathleen was here, and we've handed them all out. We put them all out. They're all over the whole area. I think they've been put out different towns, Winslow and Snowflake, and some of all around Holbrook. We're actually going to be. Ted's given us the okay to make some more. Pat Nichols is going to try to recreate them and make some more. for us so we can get them around the hotels and the RV parks and get them out to some of the other towns. The empty sign up there is one that's at the entrance of the petroglyph gate. Theoretically could be, it's gonna be a map that shows you how to get to the birding lake, to the lake from that spot there. A lot of, the tree farm is between the lake and this sign, and a lot of people like walking through the tree farm because you'll see a lot of birds in there too, not to mention deer. I saw some deer in there just a couple of days ago in the tree farm. So we're gonna be working on a map to put in that too real quick here. That was the last one?
That must have been the last one. Click it to the left again. Click the left one, see if you went too far. That must be the last one.
Yeah, that says Andrew.
You know, I know you guys, I don't wanna keep you guys too long. I could talk all night with you guys about this stuff. There's just so much, but the one point I really wanted to get across, that I've really come to realize, all my life I've heard, how can we get people to stay in Holbrook overnight? How can we get them to just not drive through, stay in Holbrook overnight? This site is the perfect opportunity to do that. I've seen that happen time and time over and over, where people have either stayed over a weekend so they could do the tour on Monday, or what happens a lot is they'll come out there and they'll say, Mike, we want to do your tour this morning and do the petrified forest this afternoon. I say, you could spend the whole day out here, and you could spend weeks out at the petrified forest, and as soon as you say that, like 80%, 90% of the time, the guy will say, well, maybe, honey, we should just spend the night tonight, and we'll do the petrified forest tomorrow. So it really is an opportunity to get people to stay in Holbrook, and they've kind of always been looking for that. As long as I can remember, that's kind of been the big question for Holbrook, is how can we get people to stay overnight and not just drive through. But it is a special place in many ways. I'd like to have everybody come out at some point, but right now it's a little bit, the vegetation is dying back. You've been out, Tim's been out. I've been trying to get Merle to come out for.
Mike, I lived out there as a kid.
I know, yeah, you've been there, done that.
Ted and I were out there
Oh, yeah.
2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
3
you've
weeks
been out
ago.
there. But I'd really like everybody to come out at some point. It's a lot nicer when the vegetation's green again, everything's kind of going dormant. Maybe this coming spring, everybody can come out at some point.
Mike, I gotta hand it to you. I don't think there's anybody more knowledgeable about our petroglyph park than you. The time that I come out, when I talk to you, I'm just amazed at how much knowledge you do have, and how much you pour yourself into it, how much you care about it. And these pictures are great. They're great pictures. You did a great job. It's a good presentation. I appreciate you being out there. I've always thought that we could advertise it more somehow, and just do more. I mean, it's a great place. It's so peaceful out there.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another attraction that is so that people love. It's just the solitude and peacefulness. They go to all these other places like the petrified forest, all these people. They come out there, you never see anybody else. I'm the only person they'll be with out there.
Mm-hmm.
They just love the solitude and being able to just kind of de-stress out there. And this day and age, that's kind of a really desirable thing right now.
And I think stargazing out there is a good thing too. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we could get with Lowell and have him bring out some telescopes.
I had that on. I wrote pages and pages of stuff I wanted to talk about, and I can't even read it without putting on my glasses. And it's just, that's something I had on here. As far as projects for the future, one idea we had was, and all the birders love it, is a birding festival, because other towns, that's kind of a big thing in other towns right now, is a birding festival that can tie into cultural, Old West and cultural aspects along with the birding. Everybody I talk to thinks that'd be a great idea. The White Mountain Gem and Mineral Club acted like they would help sponsor it. The Flagstaff Audubon and Flag acted like they would help sponsor it. Safeway, local people would probably help sponsor it. You could have vendors at the golf course, something like that. But about the time we really started looking into this, the virus came along and kind of put that on hold. But I also had stargazing, dark sky events out there.
Have you been in contact with Lowell Observatory
No.
about that?
No, but
They have portable telescopes.
it would be the perfect place to do it at, and you could, even if you just did it for lunar eclipse, say a lunar eclipse event or something out there to start with, maybe do it around a lunar eclipse or something, some kind of celestial event. I think it'd be another great opportunity to draw people out there too.
Thank you, we appreciate your presentation.
Did you, I know you got more probably to say too.
Good job, Mike.
No, I mean, about the future projects, or I know you wanted to talk about the road improvements, or maybe putting.
You did a great job.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, well, thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, Mike, thanks for coming in.
Whoever hasn't been out there at
Thanks for all
some
your
point.
Pictures and,
Well, this has been great. It's just been, I love it. It's thinking about those ancient people and them being here, all them thousands of years ago, is just amazing to me. Do any of you guys want one of these right now?
what's that?
Just leave them there, we'll take
Yeah,
care
we'll
of it.
get them.
Yeah,
Just send them right there.
just leave them on the
Thanks, Mike.
table there
Oh,
with
yeah,
Ted.
this week, yeah, forget it. Some of my mess on everything else.
Again, thank you, Mike, for taking your time out to come in and see us tonight and give us that presentation. Wonderful.
Well, thank you,
Great
guys.
work you're doing out there. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate everybody supporting it and backing it. It is a special place for sure. All right, thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Ted.
You bet, thank you.
Okay, we will move on our agenda. Item 7, called to the public for items not on the agenda.
There are none.
We have none. Going into summary of current events, I really don't have a lot other than I do have a few condolences since our last meeting. Longtime resident of Holbrook, Wendell Larson, passed away a couple weeks ago. One of our retired firemen, Charlie Lewis, he succumbed to cancer. It finally got him, and then another longtime employee of the city, Trinidad Salazar, that worked for Oscar over at sanitation, he passed away as well. So
Senior or junior?
senior, Trini Senior, he used to work at sanitation for a long time. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot other to bring up, so if we would like to go ahead and go with our council members, Jackson, Councilman Dixon, Councilman Nielsen, Earl.
Well, I almost didn't make it this meeting, but I couldn't go back east for my brother's funeral because I didn't wanna be stuck in something for 2 weeks.
Sorry to hear about that. Councilman Marsh, do you have anything?
I just want to echo what y'all have said earlier and thank Mike Odell for being such a great steward to some resources that really make Holbrook unique among a lot of our neighboring towns. And I propose that we schedule in the spring, when things get a little green, a all council field trip up there.
I bet we can do that. That sounds good. Something we can put together.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, thank you.
Vice Mayor Payne, Francie, do you have anything for us?
I also would like to offer my thanks to Mike. I know how much that park means to him, and so I know how well he takes care of it, and I do appreciate it. Second, I just wanted to remind everyone that we're heading into the winter months, and we'll be inside more. We have holidays coming up, and in the past 30 days, we've added 40 local COVID cases in Holbrook, and that's pretty high for just 1 month's time. I just like to remind everybody to be as careful as you feel you can and look out for each other. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Francie. City Manager.
Okay, just quickly, I have a few items. At the last meeting, I talked about APS and ensuring that our streetlights are working. I just wanted to let everyone know that you can actually report the lights yourself. And what you can do is go to www.ats.com/en/business/home. Click on report an outage, click on report a street outage or issue, and then follow the instructions. So if you have a street light out in your neighborhood, please just go ahead and self-report. We are doing our best to, on a periodic basis, go around, report the lights, but again, anyone can report lights to APS. It's their responsibility to keep those lights up and running, and if they don't know the light's out, they can't repair it. So it'd be helpful to just go online there and report it. I'm also going to put a link on our website, so you can go to our website and report a street outage, just following the link. There's been some questions on 8th Avenue. Again, COVID put a real damper on that project. It took us a long time to get the equipment ordered, then it took us a long time to get an individual out here to train on the leak detection equipment. He finally came out here, trained us on the equipment, found the leak, or at least thought we found the leak. But the problem is we have maps where pipes are, the pipes aren't always where they're supposed to be. Figured out where they thought the leak was, went and dug, there was no leak there. We then, as a result of COVID, had further delays before we could get him back out here again to do some additional training. He came out here to do some additional training just the past week or so ago, and unfortunately was unable to find the leak. Again, the problem is we're not sure where the lines are. We have maps, the maps aren't always accurate. So our crews will have to go back to the method they've used in the past, which is potholing. They're gonna have to pothole, figure out where the lines are, and then do some more detection. In the meantime, they repaired the French drain, but just because the water's not running down the road or running on the street, I just want you to know it's still running under the ground. And in the meantime, our guys have had other issues. You know, you've improved pumps and so forth. They've been very, very busy this year. So it's not been an intentional delay. I just want everyone to know that it's on the radar. They'll get back to it, but they've had other issues that they've had to take care of. And I wanted to let you know also that we decided to start phase 2 of the fitness center. First phase, in all the exercise areas, we removed the carpeting that was covered up by matting. We put the matting down. We then held off on any further work because we were hopeful, of course, that we'd open up, but COVID, of course, has taken another turn. So we're starting phase 2, which is to put down tiling in the restrooms and in the hallway by the restrooms. This way, when we clean up, they're wiping down mats. There's no carpet underneath like there used to be. There was paneling, wood paneling with carpet below it. It was not very good. Now it'll be safer, it'll be cleaner, and our crew's working on that right now, taking advantage of the fact that we can't open our gym yet. Finally, with the cooler weather, our crews will be renting again this year a crack sealer. They'll be sealing cracks, taking care of some of that deferred maintenance on our asphalt. First thing they'll do is they seal the cracks. Once they seal the cracks, they'll do some type of sealant. The type of sealant that is used will depend on the condition of the roads. And also, so what roads they'll put sealant on is, again, what the condition is. So that's the project that they're working on now. And of course, our crews are busy doing other things. Over this time, they replaced almost all the meters in Sun Valley with radio meter reads. We're not quite done yet. We've got to get them programmed, but the crews are working on a variety of projects. They're doing a really good job. Appreciate all the work you're doing. Sheriff's Office, sidewalk in front of it is done. Take a look at it. They finished. They did a great job. Really appreciate that. And Mayor, Council, that's all I had.
Okay, moving on, submissions of written petition for items not on the agenda.
There are none.
We have none. Item 10 will be adjournment. Chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Amen.
Have a motion for adjournment?
I do.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Councilman Dixon, Councilman Nielsen. Meeting is adjourned.